Come on. I want to vote. We pay the taxes.
I understand.
We pay the salary today.
Excuse me. I understand the passion of the room. I understand.
We would like to hear somebody else talk other than you two.
Why are you still in the police? Because you have the rights to talk? Come on.
Stop, ma'am. Maybe this is a civic lesson. Let's be very clear.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious?
Although I understand the passion in the room,
no, you do not.
The superintendent is right about how meetings are conducted. And particularly for those who talk about board members need training, the first thing that you learn in training is how meetings are conducted. And when you talk to other boards, 600 boards around New Jersey, we are one of the few that have it the way that we do. Board discussion, if any, on the agenda before we go.
Would you explain to me what a motion to rescind the action on the guidance counselors would result in if this board were to pass that?
Rescind what action? Prior action?
You know what? If we take our kids out of school and homeschool, they don't have a job. They won't have a job. I am annoyed. I am so unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Are you going to stop so that
unbelievable. I am passionate about my kids' future. This is why we're reacting the way we're reacting.
If the motion to rescind is made and the action is rescinded, it says that no action was taken at all, and it would move everyone back to the positions they were in. And it would result in a vacancy in a science position in your middle school, and it would result in the staff of the guidance counselors remaining at the prior level of the classroom.
And with such a motion, can that motion be made when there's a motion that's qualified?
A motion to rescind is a subsidiary motion under Robert's rules. You have a main motion on this action, so it would have to be done after. There could be a motion. If this passes, then it's a motion for reconsideration because it's the same meeting. In order to have a motion for rescission or reconsideration, the mover must be in the affirmance of the prior action.
I should remind the board here, you're out of pocket. We've reached over $4 million in collections. We're back in business financially. I'm very pleased to say that. And I'm saying that in front of our business official if I could. We have 8.5 guidance counselors.
He needs to go. He needs to go. Yes.
5.5 would be certainly in the normal range. We lost a guidance counselor last year out of the academies, and no one said a word when she retired who was doing her letters. We will have experienced guidance counselors in the academy. I spoke to the middle school principal about this situation, and his quote was, "As long as you leave me my social worker, I'm fine." So if our principals are fine, I'm fine. And I want to get ourselves out of hot, and that's where we are. So I'd be leery of making any changes. I don't have votes. I don't have recommendations.
Can you make it clear how many guidance counselors did you have in the academy last year in high school, and how many will you have after this?
You had 2.5. You had 2. The other day you had 2 at the academy. You had 3.5. Plus we had a consultant. 2.5. And by the way, that would be another way to help solve this, is to look at down the road, if our financial house is in order, as we've done in the past, bring in someone who has a college background, perhaps even a business in that area. And I know at least one board member, Glenn Garrison, who had very good success. He raved about the consultant. I never heard a peep about guidance. So we can look at that model again. Only when we know we have our financial house in order.
How many years do those high school counselors have in terms of being because I know
the 2 that will be there will be the seasoned veterans.
Exactly. Exactly. He has to go.
I can't hear you.
He has to go.
But you can't hear me because the people behind you are being disruptive, David.
That's right. That's right.
for some additional clarity. If I were to present a motion to lay the current motion on the table for the purposes of rescinding the action or introducing a motion to rescind the action on the guidance counselors, I could effectively do that right now and therefore table the discussion that we had today.
Yes, the motion to postpone to either a time certain, a date certain, or indefinitely is a superior motion to the main motion. So if a motion to postpone or table, but I understand, would hold the main motion, then the other action can be considered by the board. Now, of course, the problem with all of that is that this is a special meeting, right? The only action that can be taken at a special meeting, and depending on how it was advertised, and I don't know how it was advertised, is the action that was advertised. If action was advertised to be personnel, and that was it, then it's wide open to do it.
That's what the announcement was, personnel.
Then George,
Yeah, just a point of clarification. I think I heard correctly that we've already reached an acceptable number from a budgetary standpoint. Are these moves still being budgetary?
Or was it inclusive?
Point of clarification on your finances.
Yeah.
You're over $4 million in reductions, but we've included charter school money, which is a one-time revenue. I will tell you this, when I leave this meeting, I am going to head to my office for a few minutes, and then I'm going to be entering the schools, counting heads. Because I got to tell you, I'm very concerned about the numbers that we are reporting to me. And I'm not suggesting that people lie to me. I'm just saying, I don't trust the computer. I want to see if we have the numbers that we're supposed to have. I don't want to see classrooms with 4 and 5 in it, and we're cutting guidance counselors, and we've got those kind of classroom sizes. I do want to reassure the community and this board particularly that our numbers are what they're supposed to be. And I understand that things can change, so let's see.
Okay, so let's make a clarification on it, please. If the action in front of you that was moved fails, right? This fails. It reverts back to the action that occurred last week, in essence.
Which would be the same.
Which, as of last week, two of the guidance counselors remained, 2 did not. By virtue of one of the guidance counselors' seniority and tenure rights, it would bump one of those less senior people. You still have a vacancy in your science class in the middle school. So if this fails, it reverts back to last week's action, in which all the guidance counselors, in essence, remain. And one was voted to be eliminated. That person has superior seniority and tenure rights over the other 2 that remain. One of those 2 would be bumped out by virtue of on November 16th, in essence. They would lose their job.
And that's if this fails.
This fails and the last action remains.
However, if we rescind the action taken at the last meeting,
correct,
on the guidance counselors only,
right,
we restore all of the guidance.
And you have a hole in your middle school hundreds,
and we have a
I'm just trying to make sure we're clear about that.
The only problem, just to clarify, is that move can only be taken by someone who was affirmative last week.
Correct.
As opposed to someone who voted.
Now let's be clear about what affirmative means. It's the winning side. It's not a yes vote.
I understand.
You have to be on the winning side of the
Gotcha.
So,
based on that, the winning
side can be considered.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. So I, as the person that voted it down, correct.
Hold on. No. Just the opposite. As a person who voted it down, I happen to be one of them. I have the ability now to call that vote, to rescind that vote.
Correct. If you were on the winning side of the motion, you could make the motion to rescind or reconsider. If you were on the losing side, you cannot.
Okay.
We have to have 5 affirmative votes.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's a personnel action.
To be beaten.
Now, hold on.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. The motion to reconsider does have to carry a majority of those present. The action. All you're doing is representing that when you rescission. No, you are reconsidering. A rescission is just killing it. You got 5 votes.
Let me just remind you again, it's not this set of cuts, it's going to be another set of cuts next board meeting, and you're going to have a different crowd and different opinions here, but we're going to stay out of hot. We're not going to be living off our savings. We're not.
I'm not buying it. I know you are, but you got 4.1 million, but some of that million is one-time money, and you got other costs to incur. So, yeah. So right now, I'm not satisfied that we're out of the water yet. I know you are, but I'm still.
Well, I'm not completely satisfied. I know we're certainly moving in the right direction.
We can't go back.
Yeah, I just want to clarify for ourselves and for the public what I understand to be the fact pattern here, and I'm putting aside the technical issues around rescinding. Let's sort of look at what the options are, assuming that the rescission option is on the table and all this can revert back to the way it had been. What we're balancing here is a financial savings of $170,000 of the guidance, of the 3 guidance professionals. Plus, we would have to hire an additional science teacher. So let's say we're on the order of $220,000 that we're back in the hole. That's on one hand. On the other hand is the opportunity cost of losing what I understand to be a critical player in the Academy's guidance department. What would happen if that person were not to be in guidance would be individuals who have depended and formed a very strong bond with this individual would not be able to have her write her letters of recommendation. The other technical details of staying on top of deadlines or colleges, etc., would be fulfilled by another individual. So the real opportunity cost is not having an individual they've formed a relationship with write their letters of recommendation. I grant that that is a significant loss. I understand that and I appreciate it. However, I want us to all be clear on what the real power of that letter of recommendation is in the college admissions process. And what I've studied this, I've talked to people. What my research has concluded is that while it may on the surface appear to be a critical lever in that admissions process, it does not carry significant weight from the admissions department of the college unless the individual has, unless the individual has a long-standing personal relationship with the admissions officer at that university or college. The individual in question has been employed by the district for a year. Phenomenal. Would not for a minute deny that. However, in my heart of hearts and based on the empirical research that I've done, she has not made sufficient relationship building with the college admissions officers to be a lever.
Thank you.
Look, I'm not denying that it's a serious loss. What I'm saying is I take seriously my responsibility.
This opportunity is for board
So I'm just
continued.
giving you my representation of the situation and what I'm weighing against.
What you're saying makes no sense.
And insulted.
It absolutely
Ms. Munger, I echo what you said after speaking.
Echo anything.
Everything. Speaking with guidance and admissions officers at Ivy League universities over the last 48 hours who echo what you've just said. It is wrong to articulate that somehow someone else could not write those letters. It is absolutely false and self-serving to say that. George.
I'm sorry, can I have clarification on the number? I don't believe the 170 is a true number if the result of the intended recommendation would have let 2 go and 2 would have stayed. 2 would have gone from the high school to middle school, is that correct? So the net result would be letting 2 go, which is 3.
Okay. And you want him as a teacher.
Hold on. So the The intended recommendation originally was the three.
And it's right.
I thought one would have gone as a teacher, the other one would have been changed to the middle school.
Let's separate head count from guidance.
Say it again?
Let's separate district head count from district
Yes,
guidance.
let's just talk about
There
guidance.
are three less people in guidance.
Right.
The district head count goes down by 2 because one of those guidance came in as a teacher.
That's my point exactly, Henry. So therefore, the savings is not 170,000.
You have to hire the teacher anyhow.
Right, you just pay higher than that.
Okay, I guess there go. I'm back to my problem. We have an overage in teachers. So why do we continuously need to replace teachers when we haven't let go from that overage list?
You have a potential overage in teachers. And the teachers are certified in different skills and different subjects.
Are they all certified?
So we have a need right now for a teacher with a given expertise. That there is a talented person who is available, and by having that person go to that other role, it solves a district problem.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. The intention, as I read it from last week's agenda, was to remove 2 of your middle school guidance counselors, to bring a high school guidance counselor to the middle school as a science teacher, to bring another high school guidance counselor as a middle school guidance counselor.
What's that?
It would have been 1.5.
Yeah, so that's the person that was going to the middle school, they have 90% anyway. Not a full-time level person.
So I'm still confused as to why you see a savings of 170.
We're talking about 3 people. You don't have to.
Bill said last night, a Richmond lady, they don't do a Richmond city.
Okay, so then let's move forward. Now we're talking about the November 16th day. November 15th. How does that savings change? It goes from 170 down to, because obviously that's
No matter what we owe those folks 60 days pay.
Right, so that's right.
And so instead of 60 days, we're paying them for 68.
68.
So that changes the savings of 170 down to 150.
8 days. 8 days.
You owe them 60 by not having them not show up. And by providing additional time to do that work that we have commented on.
Mr. Chair? Yes.
I'm going to take a motion on the floor so that for approximately 15 minutes so we can rescind the action about that.
The motion to postpone.
About everything.
Which time, sir? We will call it 9:25. Well, no, you need a second. It's a second, or there's not a
Is
second?
there a second for this?
There's not a motion, there's no second. There's no second.
Seeing no
I'm sorry. There is a second.
Okay. The discussion, the motion is a motion to postpone the main item until 9:25. I'm going to call the roll. Ms. Barrett, yes or no on the motion to postpone only?
No.
Mr. Garrett?
No.
George?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Motion fails.
Can I call for a vote on this, please?
Yes, you can.
So the
agenda as moved in its original state, it's up for a vote. And will you call the roll, please?
Okay. So we're down the line. Ms. Craig Barrett. Motion on the consent agenda. Yes to all. Mr. Houghton.
Didn't hear you voting.
To be quiet. Ms. Unger. Yes. Mr. George Garrison.
I am a yes on 13P31 Hodge. I'm a no on the rest of the time.
Yes to all.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The actions on the agenda passed.
They've all passed.